Yes, we are back. The Biologists at 100 conference, day 3. It was another amazing time, to learn, to connect, to humble yourself at the feet of incredible individuals who have gone ahead of you and have done amazing research in different subject matter. And I love the way that these researchers, professors, PhD students, postdoc, how they took the stage one after the other to enlighten members of their audience with the outcome of their research and what their research has been about and what they have discovered so far. So for me, I love the start of day 3 of the conference. We had a plenary session that's focused on disease and health. And a key conversation that took place there in the plenary session was a conversation about the biology of weight regulation. We had an amazing scholar who took the stage to talk to us about how weight can be regulated. And majorly, a key takeaway for me from that conversation was the discussion that borders around obesity and how one can become overweight as a result of uncontrolled appetite for food, or probably you don't have enough desire for food and all of that. So an amazing thing for me in that conversation was that the researcher actually took it upon herself, wanting to know what is responsible for people having excessive appetite for food, and what is the reason for people, who eat too much and they add up and they add more weight to themselves and they become overweight, excessively out of the proportion of the body mass index, that is the BMI. It was a new stuff for me, getting to know more about BMI and how it's a key index that you should be monitoring every now and then to make sure that you are not above so that you don't become obese. And being obese actually predisposes you to some cardiovascular diseases that you should be very, very mindful of. And then she talked about, a hormone called leptin that is majorly responsible for people having either uncontrolled appetite for food, and some persons, not having enough appetite for food. And she was very, very articulate with the conversation, helping us to understand that obesity can be genetic. That is, it can be passed on from one generation to another. Likewise, thinness can also be inherited as well. But as researchers, we have to be very, very mindful of what we take in. We have to look at the level of calories that we consume and how we are also burning those calories as well. So I left that particular plenary session enlightening, and also to be mindful of my own weight as well. And I feel that it is something that every researchers out there should be mindful of, because your health is your wealth and your weight is also your wealth as well. The better you are, the healthier, you will be in delivering your research, in doing your studies, and, bringing excellent findings to the scientific community. Then after the plenary session was a good time for us to go into the various areas of interest that we had. And for me, I was very, very peculiar about antimicrobial resistance. So we went into the antimicrobial resistance segment, and it was an amazing time. The AMR segment of the conference was divided into 3 major areas. The first one actually focused on drug discovery and omics. And in this conversation, the presenter took the stage one after the other to talk about mining genomes and algorithm for new antibiotics. They talk about targeting antimicrobial resistance solutions from natural products using lab automation and integrated omics. It was a very, very nice conversation, I must confess. But the conversation that actually caught my mind was, the third and the final section of the AMR segment of the conference. And that was where the Nigerian professor that I talked about yesterday, Professor Iruka Okeke, actually took the stage, and she made an excellent presentation. Honestly, she talked about small molecule inhibition of bacteria enteric pathogen adherence, and she was stellar with, she was stellar exposing to the audience the outcome of the research and the studies that she has done in her lab with her PhD student and postdoc student and all of that. And then finally, as someone who is very, very peculiar about antimicrobial resistance awareness, antimicrobial resistance mitigation strategies in different stratas, in different settings, I was blown away when we had a very, very young scholar who took the stage to talk about understanding disparities in antibiotic-resistant infection and antibiotic exposure in socio-economically disadvantaged society. I was amazed because when he was giving his presentation, he helped us to understand the various, factors that contribute to the emergence and spread of antimicrobial resistant genes in different settings. Particularly, he talked about the structural factor, he talked about the socioeconomic factor, he talked about the social determinant factor of health, and then finally he talked about the behavioral factor. And particularly, the behavioral factor is where every one of us probably, we all fall in, because sometimes our choice, our consumer behavior actually could be contributing directly and indirectly to the emergence and spread of antimicrobial resistant gene. For some persons who are actually privileged to be farmers or to be rearers of poultry beds and all of that, how do you use antibiotics in your poultry farm? For those who practice agriculture, how do you use antibiotics? Because a lot of antibiotics are being abused in poultry farms, in agriculture, and even in aquaculture. And we really need to be aware of these areas so that we can stand up as stewards, you can stand up as vanguards and make sure that antibiotics, which are wonder drugs, or antimicrobials, which are wonder drugs, are used prudently in different settings. A big takeaway for me from that conversation, was the fact that as individuals, we must not be ignorant of some social determinants of health, and even look at the interconnectedness of plant health, animal health, and the human health together. Because if you pollute the environment, invariably you are going to make the human health, unsafe. And if the human health is unsafe, probably, and of course, animal health will also be unsafe. So there is a connection between plant health, animal health, and even the environment too. So this is called the one health issue, and we must be intentional about addressing the issues of antimicrobial resistance from the one health lens. That is, making sure that the human health is safe, the animal health is safe, and the environment is also safe. Until these three major key players are safe, we don't think we will be able to win the fight against antimicrobial resistance. And then finally, there are some structural issues that actually serve as drivers of antimicrobial resistant gene, or the emergence and spread of antimicrobial resistant genes in different settings, particularly corruption and failed governance, bad governance, or failed leadership in different sectors. I believe so much that where there are no rules and regulation, and where there are no enforcement, there is no policy that is going to thrive. So as a people from LMICs or from the global north or global south, it is not just enough for us to make policies. These policies must be backed up with rules and regulation, and these rules and regulation must also be enforced. It is up until we have enforcement, that is when policy is going to be fully adhered to and be fully implemented, then we can win the fight against antimicrobial resistance. So I left the conference day 3 very, very enlightening and challenged with the conversation that we had all through the day. And I feel I have a role to play as an individual. It's not enough for me to just sit down and keep waiting for the government to do everything about winning the fight against AMR. I can do something in my own little corner of the world, and I feel you can also do something in your own little corner of the world. If you are like me, let us join hands together in doing good science, in doing good research, so that we can have facts and evidence, to support our stance that the abuse, misuse, overuse, and underuse of antimicrobials in different settings actually is causing harm, is posing threats to the existence of human on the surface of the earth. So if you don't want how will I call it now? Should I call it the proposal? Or if you don't want the forecast that by 2050, if collective action is not taken by everyone, and when I say collective action, I mean including you too, you have to take action. If collective action is not taken by everyone, in using using antimicrobials prudently, by 2050, we might, face 10 million deaths per year if nothing is done. And 10 million deaths is quite a lot. It's quite a lot of of number. And these are not number of birds, number of chicken. We are talking about number of our fellow human beings, who will die because of bacteria resistant infection, and drugs like antibiotics that are supposed to help them to get health, will not be of any effect. So let's see what day 4 holds. Today has been a wonderful day, and I look forward to tomorrow. I am stressed and tired. I need to raise my head and try to get prepared for day 4, which is the final day. I hope you've learned something, and I hope you use antibiotics or antimicrobials prudently in your various settings. Peace.